Hello everyone, this is Khairru from MVP and AxiGG. So, long time no upload. This is a new replay review, now on V3 and not on V2. So, here we have two teams. I'm versus Ace, and this is Ladder. I think this is a top 10 match. I was at top 8, I think, during this match, and Ace was top 3. So, the teams. So, my team is a carrot team, while Ace is the standard bird team that I made, but with a twist. So he used the mech up front because he luckily got the last stand rune, which when taking a fatal hit, survive with 1 HP until the end of the turn, and active one-time propel. After that, apply an removable heal block. So this is a really good rune to have on a front axis because it soaks up one more damage or even survive for the next turn if the opponent has no more attack cards. Um, Also works well with Axicus. So let's focus on my team first. So this team, both of these teams rely on aggro. So for my team, the key cards here are 3 carrots and card draws. So my front guy has carrot, so that's a key card. Hero for card draw. Antenna to fix my deck. So what Scry does is you can look at the top 4 cards of your draw pile and you can discard any number of them. I'll show you later how it works, and it's super helpful in a team like this. Little piece applies vulnerable, which increases my aggro. Tassels heals my team and restores 4 bonus HP per card in your hand, which works so well with Timber. I did not utilize it this game, but it works so much well with Timber because what Timber does is when the opponent attacks you, you get a Lumber Shield which sticks on your hand, so it's a retain. Then the last card on this axis is Cute Bunny, which is a really solid card. It slows down the tempo of the opponent and slows down their aggro. Since what Fear does is that if that axis attacks, it gives them a confused card on top of their draw pile and not on their discard pile. So they could draw it next turn. There's a high chance they could draw it next turn. For my midline, so we have same carrot, another shielding card with Timber that works well with our tassels and works really well with our topaz. We have Cactus, so this is our de-aggro card. So what does de-aggro mean? It means that we are redirecting aggro from the opponent from the front axis to the mid axis. Since Cactus, what it does is if you use it initially, meaning if you use it first, it applies a taunt to your axis for 2 turns. So all of his attack will go here next round, if ever I use it first. We have Clover. So Clover is a really good card right now. It helps so much against bird comps, like those comps with blackmail, since you can use it to also de-aggro damage to the summon and not your backliner. I'll explain what blackmail does next, but let's focus on this guy first. Then Sirius is just there for really good damage and even more damage if we use it initially. But it applies disarm to us, so maybe we can use it in a turn where we have Timber and Clover and not anything else because we don't want to get disarmed. And for the backliner, this is our carry. But every axis here is a carry, but this is our main carry. So again, Carrot. Pumpkin. Pumpkin is also a shielding card, which helps my front line survive if I don't get my cactuses yet. Also helps me drawing out cards. Cactus again for de-aggro. So de-aggro here, and then I can just not taunt and let him aggro this guy, and it spreads out the damage of these 3 axes. So that will help me out a lot in the initial stages of V3, since there are still no runes and charms, that can make them one-shot an axis, which combos really well with tassels because since I'm de-aggroing so much damage, let's say later you'll see that every axis here is very low, like 80 HP, but with tassels I can heal everything, so it gets really good value. But if I remember correctly, I didn't utilize it really well this game. Um, then we have Topaz, which scales a lot with our Timber. So every Lumber Shield can turn into... every time he attacks, I am given a Lumber Shield, which are banish cards. Which helps me out a lot in the late game, especially when I need that extra bit of damage in the late game going into the 1v1. Risky Bird is there for still really good damage and even more damage if I choose to initial it. And Axicus is so good in this meta, since the meta right now is de-aggroing damage, and once I get low enough, I can Deathmark an Axie here, and every energy that I use, it ticks him for 15 HP. And that mucho combines well with Carrot. So for Ace's team, this is one of the teams that I made, but he just changed he just changed the front line. So let's start with the front liner. So it still has the key cards of the main Triple Bird comp, which is Mavis and Pigeon Post. He has no de-aggro card, but it's fine because it's on the front. So you can opt to not have Egg on the front, but generally I like Egg. Egg is really good damage here. It's 75 for a 1 cost. It's like the highest 1 cost damage card out there. Except for Dino. Dino is mucho good. It's an S tier card for me. And maybe the last one, which deals damage to yourself. Oh, was it the last one? Or post fight. Okay. So here for card draw, Fragile. I think he wants Fragile just for the high armor opponents right now, like Reflectiles. So keycards Pigeon Post, Mavis. So Mavis is a really good keycard here because it lowers 1 energy per turn on a random card that you have on hand. So there are turns where you can use 5 cards, since this turns something into a 0 cost, as long as it's alive. Pigeon Post helps in breaking the opponent's hand, while also making them taunt their backliner, which is sometimes their carry. I think Nemo for him is just a really good healing card, and it's banished, so it helps him draw out the other cards better, and Deathmark. So since it's the front, he can get really good value out of that. Then the Midbird still has 2 card draws, but I call them opposite card draws, because this card draws just, you don't have to use it initially or last, but for this card draw you need to use it last, since it needs to be the only attack card in your hand. So in a turn where he has like 3 Mavis set up, he can utilize these card draws and get like 7 cards in all damage, and that is really good. Goda is there for really clutch plays in the next rotation of cards where the opponent can get voided, which means they get 1 less energy in the next round. And then there's still the de-aggro taunt, the blackmail, and the Mavis. Same as this one. So Mavis, blackmail, Eggshell. But now we have 3 scaling damage cards, which is really good for the late game. So 2 Little Owls to scale for damage, and Tiny Dino. So why is Tiny Dino an S tier card for me? So once you draw it really early on, you can start retaining it, and then you can start increasing its damage. So you need 4 turns. So 4 turns of your turn and not the whole game. So that's turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, but that's your second turn. Then turn 4, then turn 5, that's your third turn. Turn 6, turn 7, that's your 5th turn. So the earliest you can get its values if you draw it turn 1, then turn 7 it's already max damage, which is 120, and it stays that way till the end of the game. So it's a 1 cost card that's 120. And the other good thing about Retain is that it also acts like a banish. Why? Because once you draw the card, it sticks on your hand, and it allows your other cards to rotate faster. And it also doesn't break your card draw, since it's still in your hand. You still draw 5 cards and not 4. So this is why this card is really good. And that's it. So both of the teams aggro and how they work are relatively the same. So there's still the aggro damage with carrot, then you can still use 2 cards. For here, you can use that. That's Mavis's job, to make something 0 cost and still go for damage. And there's the aggro for the 2 taunts. So let's go to the game. So turn 1, Ace has two choices to give me a Pigeon Post or an Eggshell, but this is the correct play since the aggroing damage really early on is really good, and next turn I only have 2 energy. If he chooses to play Pigeon Post, it's gonna spread out his damage, so he's gonna put this, he's gonna deal damage to this, but I can just use the Pigeon Post really early on, and it helps my team because it de-aggroes damage. So he plays Eggshell, really good damage, 77, and de-aggroes my next attack. For my turn, I went for Carrot, which gives me 1 energy back, and I played a risky bird. I played a hero. I tried to risk a hero. It would bite me in the butt if I drew a Carrot, but the chances of it are really slim. That's the only card I didn't want to draw with that, and maybe Cactus, so that's just 4 cards. And the chances of drawing the other cards are really high, so I just wanted to cycle through my deck really fast. And that worked for me because I will not be using tassels next turn, which means this goes back to the, this goes to the discard pile now. For Ace's next turn, he went for a Mavis, and now I think he'll start to give me a Pigeon Post because he already set up the Mavis aggro turn, which he can use 4 cards, and then maybe he can kill my backliner if he has enough damage next turn. So yeah, that's what he went for. He went for Pigeon Post. That also slows down the blackmail card. Also slows down the rotation of my cards, since in the next turn from 5 cards I'll only draw 4 cards and this one, so it always sits on top of the draw pile until I use it. So here, as you can see, I only draw 5 cards instead of I only drew 4 cards instead of 5. The 5th card is blackmail. So here I used my de-aggro card, which is Cactus. And here is where Antenna is really good. So normally I wouldn't use blackmail because when you use 2 taunts, it adds up. So from 2 turns, this becomes 4 turns. And with 4 turns, surely Ace can kill my backliner. Unless I draw a Cactus on this guy, which is... the chances of drawing a Cactus is really low for me, since there are still 9 cards there, right? But what Antenna does is that I can scry the top of my draw pile. Scry means that I can see what's on the 4 cards on the top of my draw pile. Which, if I see a Cactus there, that will be good for me, since I can de-aggro next turn and I can use the blackmail. If I don't see the Cactus, I will scry all 4 cards. Even though they're good, I will scry all 4. And that ensures that I get a Cactus next turn. Because if I discard all of these 4, then that means I can draw Cactus, since that's 5 cards. Because I'm gonna use the blackmail now. Because I'm ensured that next turn I can de-aggro the damage to my mid. So like this, I went for Carrot, gain an energy back. Then we play Antenna. Axicus, then I played Antenna. And I check if I can safely use my blackmail, in which I saw the Cactus incoming, and I think I saw also Cute Bunny, and I discarded them. Or wait, what did I discard? I discarded something. I discarded Topaz. So there. Then I safely used blackmail. So from 4 turns, which puts my backliner in a threat. There, Ace went for an Eggshell and a summon. And I think another summon, yeah. So he wants to potentiate damage. He didn't even go for Goda. And that will make his next turn have 2 0 costs. So for me, since I knew I'll draw the Cactus, this guy is safe next turn because that taunt would have stuck there since I used the blackmail. But now I can de-aggro with Cactus, which taunts my midliner, which is really nice. Then I went for the Clover, which helps out my team. Since I'm de-aggroing damage, it helps out my team by healing everything up because it gives leaf to everybody. Then I played my Timber card so that I can get Lumber Shields and keep this guy healthy enough. So Ace went for a Pigeon Post, which gives me another blackmail and also gives me a Lumber Shield. Little Owl. you use the Nemo to heal the summon. Why is healing a summon important? It gives it one more extra turn to do its effect. So that's what Ace did in this play. He didn't heal it on his Axie, he healed it on the summon, since this team relies on really good aggro. You can use that as well on Cottontail and also Nemo. You can heal a summon, and it makes them live for one more extra turn. Or if they are at 2 HP, it gives them 2 more turns. So now Ace already used his Tiny Dino since he has an energy left, and he's got a card draw with Hair. And he's gonna deal another 1 damage, so that's a lot of damage going to my mid. If I didn't play the Timber, this would have died, but it also gave me 5 Lumber Shields. So there I used the Blackmail. Now, since it targets the back, now putting Clover on the back also helped me out a lot. Since if I press the Blackmail, the taunt goes to that Axie. Then I tried to go for the kill on his frontliner, so I went for Little Piece first, since it adds Vulnerable, which makes my next cards deal more damage, but I didn't have enough damage to kill him. Because of Last Stand. He would have died easily without Last Stand, but since he had it, it survives with 1 HP. And I think on his next draw, he drew an Naxicus, which was really clutch for him. So I fully shielded my front with the Lumber Shields. And he drew an Naxicus. So he went for an Early Bird first, drew a card. Placed an Axicus on my back, since he couldn't use Axicus last turn since it had Taunt, so he went for Early Bird first. Now Pigeon Post. Now every card he does, it deals 15 damage to my backliner. And a Mavis. Now it's my turn to have an Axicus, so I Axicus his backliner. Then it helps me mucho much. So I use a Carrot, 15 damage. I use a Risky Bird, another 15 damage. Then I shield up the backliner and use Timber. Because if I don't use the Blackmail and just shield up this guy, every damage card he does will just take this guy out. So I just sacrifice my backliner now. And it also gives me Lumber Shield, which helps out my front, since it has the Rune Thick Shield, which gives 10 more bonus shield from cards. Boom, boom. And another one more energy. Went for the Goda, which killed, but it also gave me 3 Lumber Shields, which is really key. Now keep in mind that he gave me a Void, which would be really clutch in the 1v1 if I ever draw it. Let's see. So 15 more damage again every time I use an energy. I use the Clover in anticipation that he can double kill me. So this blocks out damage. So he's gonna use 1 revenge card or 1 attack card just to kill that thing. Then I went for the kill. I shielded up the front Clover because I thought that he wouldn't have the draw next turn and only have like 1 attack then revenge cards, which this would tank 1 revenge card, but he killed it with 1 energy. So it would have been better if I shielded up my frontliner. So there, the 2 revenge cards. I thought he was gonna use a revenge card, which would have, really annoyed him so much. But no, he went for the ensure kill with an eggshell. So there, he ensured the kill. Then he armored up. So why did he armor up? If he does damage to me, it's not even gonna help him. He just needs to survive the next round and kill me in one go, because he can definitely do that. But he needs to survive this turn though, so he went for the shield card. Now I drew Void, I think, this turn, which made him really happy. But I also drew the Carrot card, which made me really happy. So from a scenario where I can only use 2 cards, which definitely wouldn't have killed him, I could use 3 cards with Carrot, and I get the win. So it was a really close game. there you go. Thanks for watching.